Hey, it's Joe. This next one is from Tammy Green. Tammy says, I helped a family set up a lease to own. We found a buyer, made $4,000 within 2 months. The buyer did not pay on the property, did not make their payments on the property. What is the best advice or action to take to assist this homeowner, the lease option buyer? First of all, if you ever have the feeling going into a deal that your seller is unstable, that they might be filing bankruptcy, that they can't make the payments, that there's going to be a big problem here, which is only a small percentage of most of the sellers that we deal with. Most of them can make their payments, and the reason that they're doing lease options is because they don't want to go into bankruptcy, and they don't want to damage their credit, and they don't want to go into foreclosure. So that's going to be fairly rare. But if you do find somebody that you think is unstable, you can set up an escrow payment to have the monthly payment go through a title company for a small monthly fee, and you can have it administrated by that attorney at the title company. Or you can give access to the online loan account of the buyer so that they can see that that payment is being made every month. And if they see one month that it's not made, then they could switch things out. You could even change the dial or the verbiage in the contract to make it possible for that buyer to pay the mortgage amount directly to the bank. So let's say you've got a monthly payment, a lease option fee of $1,000 or a lease option monthly payment of $1,000 a month, and $750 of that has to be paid towards the mortgage every month. We could have the buyer set it up so that he pays $750 directly to the bank and the other $250 directly to the seller. So your responsibility through this process is to pay attention to this situation and make sure that people aren't going to do this to the sellers, to the buyers that you're dealing with. You want to make sure that your sellers are stable. The person who's most at risk in the transaction most of the time is the seller, and that's why you make the seller responsible for making the payments to their mortgage. They're going to be more responsible to do that. And it's also easier to get rid of a lease option buyer than it is to deal with a situation like this. Now, if you're in a situation like this where you didn't foresee any of this stuff and suddenly it starts to happen and the seller's not making their payments, and you catch it in time, then it's possible for that buyer to start making the payments directly to the bank, so there's no foreclosure. They may be late every month, but they can make that portion of the payment directly to the bank and pay the balance of it to the seller. They could also bring it current when the property is purchased, because there's probably a spread between the mortgage amount and the sale price. So if they do exercise the option, they'll still be okay. Now, if they don't catch it, 6 months goes by and suddenly they're getting a notice of default in the mail and they're looking at it and they're saying, okay, this is bad, and we've got to be out of this property. A lot of times that buyer will want to leave that property, and then you can help them find another property and give them a discount on the lease option fee. Don't do it for free, but give them a discount on that lease option fee. Maybe you can go talk to the seller and say, hey, what's going on here? Is there some way we can solve this problem? And there might be a way to solve the problem. Just try to keep communication open between everybody. Make sure that the buyer and the seller know that this is not your problem. Don't get angry with people. Just try to solve the problem and see what you can do, and to smooth out the process. If you keep people happy, if you ignore them, you're going to make them mad. If you don't do anything, you're going to make them mad. If they get mad at you, then the potential for them to sue you goes way up. So what you want to try to do is keep them at least happy with you, and the likelihood that they'll come after you is much, much less if they see that you're doing the best you can in a difficult situation. All right, I hope that helps.